Greetings, this is Ron Smalek, and I am back once again for my monthly installment of Minecraft Map History. This month, I'm going to be looking back at all the maps I reviewed in May of 2011, May of 2012, and May of 2013. So as you can see, I am flying around above one of my favorite maps of all time. This is Quest World Shipwrecked by Smanx and Sanku. This was one of the very first maps that I scored as a perfect 20 all the way back in May of 2011. This map at the time had a nice build, and it had amazing redstone. Honestly, this is the map that actually inspired me to try to figure out how redstone even worked at all. There were things like doors that would open, villages that would unlock each other, volcanoes that would erupt, towers that would crumble, water that would come pouring down, and as a second release, the guys put out a very cool meta puzzle that had to do with coordinates, and the first person to figure out the coordinates was awarded a look at their beta version of Quest World Shipwreck 2. I was actually lucky enough to be one of the people to look at that beta version. Unfortunately, that map seems like it will never be finished, but Quest World will always remain one of my firsts, and therefore one of my favorites. Other than Quest World Shipwreck, I reviewed 25 maps in May of 2011. Some additional highlights were Memories of Darker Days by Darko Hexar. This is a map with a very classic premise. You wake up in a strange forest and you don't know who you are. But I will say that the trek to regain your memories and fight off insanity in this one was really good for the time. I also put out 2 of my own maps in May of 2011. The first was called Fear in a Handful of Dust. It was heavily inspired by Stephen King's Dark Tower series and set in the Old West. And a map called Superheroes, in which you take the form of 6 different superheroes with powers. The map was originally built for play with single-player commands to simulate powers, so it's no longer playable quite the way that I designed it, but it's on my short list to someday revamp. Other maps that I reviewed in May of 2011, the Wizard Bergmund. This is another map that I was inspired to play based on a Yogscast LP. And in May of 2011, I played a great map by my friend Lukey's called Craft Bandicoot: The Tomb of Wrath. This was a puzzle map set inside of a large tomb or temple. The last 2 maps I'm going to highlight from May of 2011 are Captain Razak's Treasure by General Scare. This was the first survival map that I tried, even before Survival Island, that had a central theme to it. It had hidden stuff, and it had a very pirate feel to it. And therefore, again, as a first, it was one of my all-time favorite survival maps. The second being Snow Survival Mountain by TLB Dutch. The idea here is that you are stranded on top of a snowy mountain, and you have to survive for a period of time before you can escape. It was just a pretty cool survival map because it's set in the unique theme. Fast forward 1 year to May 2012, and I reviewed 21 more maps. The first one I'd like to highlight is Inspector Hemlock and the Bermuda Circus by Thistlehoof. This was a very Sherlock Holmesian style map, set more in a fantasy setting, and this one I had the joy of playing besides Blame the Controller. The next map was the Obsidian Fortress by Sinathor. This is another epic adventure that I did an LP with map makers Jagarbov and Nurglebunny. In May of 2012, I also played Minecraft Missions 1 Infiltrate by Invincible Mode. This was one of the first maps that I played with Dads Are Funny as part of our Agents Flint and Steel ongoing roleplay series. May of 2012 also introduced me to CTM maps, in particular Spellbound Caves by Vex, which is probably one of his best maps ever. In May of 2012, I also published The Library, which was a collection of dropper maps from around the Minecraft community, 49 in all. And last but not least, Skygrid, the famous survival map by SethBling, where your world is populated by many random blocks. I only played this for a short time, but you could find that series on Sean V. Martin's channel. Fast forward one more year to May of 2013, and I reviewed 15 maps. Notable maps to me were Destinycraft, Chapter 1, The Village. This was a map that I played entirely in French, and in order to understand what was going on, I had my good friend Darko Hexar join me. Very beautiful builds in this map. Similarly, I played a map in Spanish, and my translator was Bickercraft. That map was called Hard to Be a God by Rapture Gades. It was based on a book, and it actually had a very complex storyline and some amazing redstone puzzles in it. In May of 2013, I also played Super Mario Galaxy by 99 Blockmaking. This map I played with Jigarbov, and we had a whole lot of fun, especially because I had never played the original Super Mario Galaxy on any of the Nintendo consoles. In May of 2013, I also played The Dropper Part 2 by Bigger, Newton vs. Darwin. This dropper introduced some new mechanics such as jumping up through a dropper level and finding special diamonds on your way down. Quite fun. Half Minute Adventure Part 2, The Black Knights by Galling was another map that I did an LP on in May of 2013. Why do you want to watch this map? Because it features voices from over 40 people in the Minecraft community as NPCs. Whole lot of fun for a short video. So that was a brief look back at maps that I've played in the month of May over the past 3 years. I hope you enjoyed it. Links to all of these maps and or Let's Plays are in the description of this video. And if you would like to see new maps that I'm playing this month in May, well, just subscribe and keep watching the channel. See you next month.